So, hello, my name is Andrew. I'm software engineer and welcome to my stream where I develop solution to one of my current, let's call it problems. It's about video generation. So the problem I have is quite straightforward. There are at least 3 scripts to do some daily job. They require my attention, but what's most important, they require me to open up laptop, wait for SSH, etc. I'll show you what I want to do. Here it is. So, PC below, where you can see the fan, it's my daily driving device. I use it, I game on it, I watch movies and engineer solutions. It has GPU, what's most important, it's quite good. But on top, I have 2 laptops, and that's what I would like to utilize. The project is about, let's start the process in one of those laptops wherever we can. For example, if cron tab comes, it wakes device via network call, then it executes some pipelines. That's all. In the morning, I wake up, press a few buttons on mobile phone, and go to coffee. Maybe then I will simply press a few other buttons. So, the process I have defined in the problem itself and the solution were defined last streams. And I came to the point where I have defined configuration. Yes, architecture, etc. It was defined maybe 2 streams ago. But I came to the point where I have defined configuration of a pipeline itself. So let's check. Yes, here it is. I was satisfied with interface of this JSON, of this config itself. And today, for 1 hour, I will be making a JSON schema to validate this config. And that should be enough, let's say, to validate all consecutive pipelines, because it's not the first process I need to automate. There are other processes. For example, in this particular process, we check the schema. It gets text from LLM. It's quite small LLM located under one of those laptops, I think. Also, it has an interface to go to OpenAI in case of fallback, whatever, to spend some money. But what if I want to create a dedicated Telegram channel or Facebook channel? I don't know now. Let's say I pass some text inside, and then it will yield me a video with this text and maybe slides, maybe generated video on what I wanted. So it will be the same pipeline without step 1. It won't be get text from LLM, it will be get text from Messenger. Maybe I can simply parse some interesting things I want to represent it in slideshow or whatever. So it's not the first pipeline, not the one pipeline, but first one. Also, to initiate the whole process, I need to have some always online device, which will be delivered maybe in this Monday. It's Raspberry Pi Zero. If I can, Firefox, hello. So it's Zero W. mean, this one is quite small device, but it should be enough to contain cron tab, because in these Apple laptops I noted one interesting thing. Okay, let me rescale it. So in these laptops, there is command named pmset, which has some execution time, etc. Sometimes the time is limited. There is no thing such wake up at 7 a.m., do 30 minutes job and then go to sleep. It doesn't work like it. It wakes up, it does its job for 10 seconds and then it simply goes away. It's a problem I noted, and just for reference, the laptop on top, it's quite old, it's 10 years old, it's no longer supported, and I have only one solution for this problem. It's network call to this device. And for example, in my VS Code, I'm working on laptop which is below. Yes, it's 16 core MacBook Pro from 2020. So I got it from my job, then I purchased it when I was quitting. But it will be the main container of blocks for the pipeline, and that Raspberry Pi itself will be managing network calls, etc. So it will call one laptop, then it will manage to call another laptop. And since I have multicast DNS, there is no need to be afraid of it won't discover anything. So let's hop on making JSON schema for this config itself. Today is August 24. Nice. Definition JSON schema. Oops, 100%. So I'll copy paste this thing. I'll copy paste it to a separate tab in order to navigate correctly. And let's start. I have JSON. Let's remove it. Content. Move it and then to the beginning. So I have JSON schema, which is also JSON. It contains some properties. So the root property. Oh, by the way, it should have some predefined boilerplate. I remember it's ID, version, declaration of something. So let me check how it's declared in most recent standard. JSON schema API. Oh, okay. Let's omit that thing. So I have some properties. There are some required properties. It's an array of pipeline here. By the way, why am I guessing if I have this JSON schema in here? Yep, type object. Properties, correct. So By the way, required its own level of properties. It's correct. So pipeline, which is an object, type object. It cannot be null, obviously, and it has some properties as well. It's important, there are required. Slug title, description, and blocks. And in here I should define what is slug. But let me just copy those things, paste it here, and define them as type. So in here, all those properties should be strings. Since slug has some format, I should say what kind of format or enum I have in here. Let's call it I'll simply find it. Slug regex. Yes, I found it. Also, JSON Schema might have it not regex, but regex itself. So I'll share Firefox and let's check. How is it called? The property itself, regex or regex? It has name pattern. Yep, pattern. So I go back and call it pattern. Correct. Does it require slashes? No, it does not. Okay. So I have slug, I have title and description. Obviously, since they are required, I should insert some validations such as minimal length. Let's check. It was min length. Yes, nice. Type description. Let's say min length for description. It's 10 characters. For the title, let's call it 5. But I don't like. Let's make it 10 and 20. It should be verbose. It should explain everything. It cannot be, say, new pipeline. No way. Now, as for the blocks, it's array. It also should have some minimum length. So let's check how it was in here. I need validations. Prefix items, no. No, it's also not correct. Here. Constraints of how many times a schema matches contains constraint. No, oh, here it is, min items as well. That's quite good. So our pipeline should contain minimum one item. That is correct. Nice. And now it is important that each block has its own properties, which means I should declare definitions in here. I'll check how it's done in this document as well. It should contain keywords. It was defs. Yes, here it is. Keyword use for identify required operational. Okay. So I have schema. Nice. That's what I was looking for. It says what kind of drafted appends, type object, properties, and defs. But I remember that defs were in the beginning of this file. Positive integer. In here, I should define what is block itself. Block, which is type object. Let's keep it as is for now. But in here, I should say it was contains schema only needs to validate against one or more item in array. I will check it. Array of defs. Array items type object. No, it's not, because I remember it as type array and then something like subtype. Arrays of things. Type array items. Type string. That's correct. Items. Type block. So this is a schema for the block itself. And by default, block is an object, but I need to validate it as well. So let's do the following. JSON Schema validator. Online. Yes, let's check how it works. So I have this schema. I'll simply copy paste it, because in the end, at least main body of this thing should be correct. I have my own schema. There is a problem. Type block. Yes. How it was there? They said positive integer. Here it is. It's not just type block, it is a reference to block. And let's copy paste again to check it. Yes, it works, because right now pipeline is missing. So if I copy paste this JSON, it should work. Oops. There was something in the parsing. Comma. At line 67. No, line 34. Don't need it here as well. So what else? A parsing value is an unexpected character encountered where? It was a comment I left. There also another comment. And another comment here. How much problems? This is also a problem. I don't need it. Okay, let me copy it and check. Here it is, and another place. So now it should be correct. Good. Now I have a problem with the regular expression itself, which says, it doesn't work with capitals. So in here I should say it works with capitals. What else? Could not validate string. Pipeline properties slug pattern. Let me check it again. I remember good slugs were in Django. Django slug pattern. Regex. Why is it not working with slash double? That is correct. So even here, if I say slug YouTube channel, yes, it won't work. With this it does. So let's replace the pattern at the end. So this schema itself, it is correct. It works with JSON I have passed. But I'll leave this JSON in a original file with comments because I need those comments. However, let's proceed with block definitions. What kind of object, what does it need? Required properties and required. There are a list of things I need. First of all, it's ID, then slug, it's mandatory, description, yes. It's also important, and there is a problem. I have input config and input itself. But if input config is defined, sometimes I do not need input because all these properties were defined in input config and vice versa. What should I do? Let's check this block again. There is an input. Yes, in here I have input, I have message, but also message can be passed here. It's block specific thing. In here the same. In here I do not have input because it's already in here. So there is no block which has no input. So one of input config or input must be necessary. It must be required. To achieve this, let's make it input config, which is type object. And let's call it input, which is type object as well. But there should be one of let's check how it's done nowadays. One off. Yes, one off. It's not all or any. How does that work? So in a perfect case, I should move it to definition because it's not a block itself, block config itself, which uses it. It's also a pipeline config. I mean, this JSON schema should be used for API interface validation because there are schemas inside of blocks themselves, such as in and out. So I will need to redefine the thing. I remember it was output and input. So there is need output. And let's call it input. So these things also parts of the schema. And since config schema, it's like generic thing, there are block specific schemas which are just an addition. So it should be compiled in some sort of big schema. So in my case, let's say I will define it as simple as I can without crazy references, and then I'll check what happens if I use these definitions inside of block validations. So I don't need whole this pipeline schema. I might need this to have a block per block config. I'll figure it a bit later. But now let's speak about one off. What if I want one property to be so I can make another property, input type config, and then type object. This is how I might do it. One off, then it comes not an array but schema, an object which has either input config so I must copy paste it. This should be an array. I must move it to one level and copy paste in order to make it input or input config. Then I should say required or I think that's all. Let's check. In here I said, by the way, why there is no properties. I think it won't work, but let's make it one of properties. Yes. There are some sub schemas, nice, but I'm wondering ID slug and description. It should be the same as here slug. So Let's move the slug to definition itself, because I'm already using it in a few times. Slug. In here I should simply say what slug means. And I will reuse it there. Property slug. Then I have ID, which is just a string. Maybe I should also make it some sort of a slug. Let me check in this validator if I can say text. Yes, it's correct as well. So I can simply say ID should be the same as slug, so there is no need to worry about it. ID slug description I had it here. Input. Each block has individual input, which in this case is just an object. And let's call it additional properties true. As well as this one. I think it's on this level. And let's check this schema. Let's save and copy paste it. And there is an error, which says what? Unexpected token when reading required. Of course, it's an array. So, where was it? Here. What else? JSON is valid against one or more. Oh, obviously it's not one of, because it is possible that it will be two cases. So it should be instance against at least one schema. Yes, any of. So I have a problem. Slug pattern where? Which string fails? It's empty string. Beautiful. And fetch. Beautiful. It works. Let me fix it here. So I think that's all. The schema defines some input and output. Let's check one more thing in here. I will work like this. Yeah, so what if I'll remove input? It is valid. So I remove output. Oh, input as well. It's not valid. Good. There was output somewhere, as well as format. Let me find that in here. No. Interesting. Here, output config. So I used to have an output config. It is similar to input, but what's important, it's not mandatory. So I can say description output config. Type object, type string. No, it's an object. So it's if it is passed, then type is necessary. Properties type, which is string. Let's make it additional properties true. Let's copy paste it from here. String. Obviously, there are enum, so it should be predefined a list of what it can be an output. So in here, I think it should be, oh, it has enum. Nice. So its enum should be what can we output. Everything, by the way. So if it's possible to have a reference to everything, but where do we store strings? Reference, common types. Oh, it's just string without anything, which is okay, fine. Maybe it is time to define what the thing can output and what it cannot. So I would like to do this. I would like to say output types, which is string, and it has enum like string, array, whatever. And then here I would like to say, okay, this output has a reference to there, but it's the only place. Yes, output config in here, it's the only place. What about block validation? It is not a part of a block. It will be passed to the block in order to make its output to be casted into string, array, or whatever. Should I define it in defs? That's what I wonder. Let's not do it. I think there is no need to over-engineer this solution. Let's call it array, number, string, boolean. I think that's all. Yes, let's keep it as is. So if output config is present, then it should be here. Description, output config. Type, which is array. What am I doing? Oh, sorry. It's not just an object. it can be a file, but I have a string with format file, so so I wonder if properties, what property? Validation said what is this type, so I can say type. Now it should be correct. Yes, now it is correct. Type. Well, I have it. So let me check. I have output config, input config. It is defined. ID slug description. ID slug description. Yes. And by the way, there was something else. Input config, which says what kind of property. So let me simply find all occurrences of this. It has property. Everything is a property, but I remember there was type and parallel. Good. Which means, where is this input? Input config. Yeah. Type object. What kind of object? What is it? Properties. Let's describe a few things, because additional properties, it allows everything, but there are things. Property. That is an object which is mandatory. It's an object, and this object obviously can have additional properties. True. That is important. Now, it also contained type and parallel. Type, it's a string. There are enum. Let's simplify it. Enum, it's an array of string which says array. I can simply copy paste it. Yes, it's type, and there is another thing named parallel, which is boolean, and default is false. Is there a default? Okay, I'll copy paste it later. Let's check what else was there. Property. I remember something with format. Oh, here it is, format vars. Input config, property, parallel, format vars, which is an object, obviously. It has additional properties as well. But I would like to describe this format vars because it's quite let me check. It's the only place in whole pipeline itself. Format vars type object. There is a problem. It's an object which has origin. It's 100% required. So let's call it properties. And let's also mark one thing, required. It's obviously necessary, and I will copy paste it to property itself. What is origin? It's a string. Also, there is XPath, which is a string as well. But there is a problem which makes origin always required its min length. Let's make it min length. Min length 1. And I need to copy paste these properties to property here. Because property, let's make it, so I have property, it's an object. Each object content requires, so it's possibly that I have mistaken. Let me check it. Any of, I'll copy paste it to, oops, what happens? To the validator. It was any of. And there is no errors for some reason. It's quite interesting. It's an object. It should not be working. So it reports it has found 2 cases. Where is the second case? Okay, not a big deal because I can copy paste it into where input config. Yep, let's go here. It's part of input config, so it should be on level of property here. So format vars type object which has properties origin. That's already problem because I said required origin. It should be here. But I called it exclude text and it works because of additional properties. So I remove additional properties and it works. What? How does it validate it? So in order to proceed, I need to say each instance of property should be of this type. That would be correct. So let me check how it will be. I need, here it is, edge name, edge like. Maybe it should be called items. So let me check. Wait. There was properties pattern. It's possible this one. So how do I say it? Is there a document in here specification? Keywords. Okay. Pattern properties. Yes. Here it is. So I should say it's not properties, it's pattern properties. There are two pattern properties. Origin and XPath. Origin should be type string, XPath should be type string. Yes, that will be correct. So let me check. Format var should be replaced completely. Wait, what? I didn't copy paste. Now it's also valid, but we can check it. Let's say it was about format vars origin A. Oh, by the way, I also forgot one thing. It's pattern properties. Did it say anything about should I make it definitions? Let me check. It's a regular expression. Additional properties false. And by default, it's just an object. Wait, should be always. Yes, so let's make it. Starts, ends. I don't believe that it will work. In here it simply says type object pattern properties, but I don't think it is. required origin. No need to say required, just origin. Then it is important. What's about additional properties? There is no need of such thing. Additional properties, no need. So exclude tags origin A, B. Oh, I did it copy paste twice. Also, let me copy paste it to properties. Type object, pattern properties. Let's check regex 101. So let's say I have this kind of regular expression. Will it work? So it's only one which works, so it is correct. But I don't understand how it just allowed this to happen. Input config message origin A. Correct. Maybe it's a validator which has problems, so I can check another JSON validator. So I have schema. It is correct schema. Now I need to find how to validate. Here is my schema. What is this? Ah, okay. JSON formatter, JSON validator. Oh, it just validates. No. JSON schema. What? Okay. Online. To be honest, I could simply run it in Golang itself or Python, but I would like to do it online because it's the way faster. JSON data, JSON schema. Okay, I have schema and data. It should not be valid. Okay, I'm not route. Validate. It is valid. Why? It should not be valid because where was it? Here. It's not origin. It's not regular expression. Input config property message. So in here I say input config property. Ah, is that me who failed again? Any of properties. Any of properties, yes. Property is which is an object. Pattern properties. It should be working. Ah, wait a second. It should not be working. Pattern. Here is why. And then let me come back to that validator. let's say it's type string. And what's important, it should not allow additional properties. So this one I will cut and will reuse it a bit later. Oh, why did I copy all of it? Any off. So I will any off here. It is. So properties. Wait, did it just format incorrectly? It copies incorrect format. Yes. So now it works. So a few things. First of all, this format button, it looks like rewriting things. I will replace it again. It's first. The second, properties. Input config, which contains properties. Okay, there is property on its own. It should contain. Let's remove this. Additional properties, no. Type object, then pattern properties, which is everything. And here I say type string, but it's not type string, it's type object, which has two properties. One of them is required, which is origin. And origin is type string. Also, additional properties true. What have I... yes. So this is pattern properties. Let me check it. Where was it? No errors. Beautiful. It works. So in case of format vars, it will be the same. Format vars. But it should be less. Let me check. Format vars here. Exclude text. But it is the same as property, so I can simply copy paste it. Here. So there are two properties, origin and xpath, which is type string. it has some sort of format, but I'll ignore it for now. Format was origin and XPath, yes, and here origin and XPath as well. So this is, as I understand, completely defined JSON schema for pipeline config. Yes, no errors. That's awesome. So in here, what do I have in this file? It's all the data. It should be in plan. Yes, so I can close it. I don't need it. In here, what do I have here? It's just copy paste of data which was validated against its correct thing. And now let's preview. Okay, definition blocks. By the way, this one, format vars and properties, they are literally the same. It's possible to move it to definitions, but I think let's do it later. So this stream is 5 minutes over time, fortunately not 20 as before. What have I done today? It's August 24. I defined this config. That's correct. I'll mark it as completed 99% because it is possible that something is not okay, and the next stream will be, let me check, August 26. So, August 26, I will have to do a few things. First of all, where is this block? So, this block itself contains JSON schema. But I have two schemas. It's config schema pipeline. And block. I have two schemas, but if config schema is universal for everything, block JSON schema is unique. So, what will I have to do? It seems like I will have to unify these block schemas. There are some unique parts, such as this input, because it's URL method, etc., and output format. Do I need it? String null, format file, it's everywhere. Wait, have I unique for each block? I will have to define a few blocks. And now it is time to... So this is the file with config itself. If you see, there are HTTP request which makes request to OpenAI, but I remember I have block with ID. OpenAI request. So it's possible that I will have to replace this block with a unique block and rewrite it. But okay, what's important for me at least, it's copy paste every block I have here. Correct. Now I will have to now remove duplicates. Now I need to sort. And here is the list of these blocks I will have to start defining. So the next stream will be in Monday, August 26. I will have to start making new blocks such as block HTTP. Right now this block does nothing, I think. That schema detect, yes, it does nothing. No, it does something nice. It simply makes get a request. Awesome. HTTP request alt V. Oh. In Mac I could do alt V. In here I cannot do so. Let's make it V, like done. But that's what I'll do. I think I'll define a few of them. It's just schema definition, nothing else. No need to write any code. I need to understand what they have to accept and what will they produce. In HTTP block, it's quite straightforward. It produces file in case of success, and that file will contain whatever was in HTTP response. There is no thing such as save this to file. So this process, it yields nothing. So it said FTP, but let's call it temporary file. So there is no need to make actual write to file system. It just make schema, determine what I want in input and output. That's all. I don't think I'll be able to write all these blocks. It's like 10. I think it will be 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 blocks in Monday. Let's make it for sure 2 blocks. Yes. So I'll define JSON schema and some interface such as how to detect that this PC or hardware is able to add audio to video. It's quite straightforward. I need FFmpeg, ImageMagick maybe, and some libraries. So it will be interesting experience, and hope to see you on Monday. Thank you very much for joining. See you on Monday. Bye.